Tech by Tips.
Welcome to another Tech by Tips video. In today's video we are talking about a requirement for one of our R's applications. We're going to be setting up readr, but readr depends on another application. This application that we're going to be covering is Calibre, and I really recommend you to use that app, even though it's a prerequisite for the other one, because on its own it's actually really good. It's an application if you like to read, like if you have a Kindle or e-reader device. It's really good because you can find your books and then you can change the format of the book to match the format that your device uses, so it doesn't matter which format you find. And it's really good. It also pulls down metadata and a lot of stuff that is really cool. So I hope you really like this video, and remember, like and subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Let me know what kind of things you would like to see in the comments, and let's get to it. Welcome again to another video. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. It's not an R, but it is actually a required application for one of our R's, which is readr. Readr uses Calibre to manage the database, and it helps us with a bunch of other things. So Calibre basically is an ebook manager. It can view, convert, edit, and catalog ebooks in basically all the major formats. And it can talk to reader devices. For example, if you have an Amazon Kindle, it's very good. I highly recommend you use Calibre because you can actually email to your Kindle device your books directly from Calibre. And it can also convert the files to a format that you use in your Kindle. And it can actually also go into the internet and grab metadata for your books, like the book cover and details about the author, the series, etc. So it's really good. And yeah, so we need this. It is necessary for readr to work properly. It's an application that has a long history. It's pretty useful, pretty well supported. It has 283 contributors in GitHub right now. So yes, if you want to read more about it, you can go into github.com/covidgoyal with a K in the beginning /Calibre. And yes, that's basically it. covidgoyal Calibre. So let's get to it. Let's go in here into our NAS. We currently have our two downloaders, Prowler for the indexers. We have Radar for movies, Mylar for comics, LiDAR for music, Sonar for TV and anime, and now we're gonna add something else. Let's go into the registry and let's look for Calibre. All right. As you will see, Linux server has two of those, calibre-web and Calibre. First, let's start with Calibre. We will also be installing calibre-web, but for now, this video is only dedicated to Calibre. So let's double click here and use the latest version. Now we just wait for it to download. Calibre and calibre-web are pretty heavy applications, images, especially Calibre, because Calibre is actually like simulating a whole operating system for a lot of things that it needs. So this is probably going to be the biggest image that we're going to download. It's going to be probably like 2 gigs or something like that. So this one's going to take a little bit of time. So let's just wait for it to do its thing and download, and then we'll see how big it is in the end. Okay, it looks like Calibre has finally downloaded. Let's clear this. And it says that it's 2 gigs. So that's about right. So now we can double click here to start it. And we're going to do the usual. We're going to go next here. We rename this to Calibre. Enable resource limitation and auto restart. And then here, as usual, we're going to go and add our environment variables. Let's make sure we don't have the time zone or the PUID, so we click 3 times to add. Then we put time zone, America, New York in my case, and then PUID 1026 is the usual, PGID 100, and that should be the things that we add here as variables. Yes. Next, we're gonna go here into the port settings. Here, don't be fooled. I have noticed that for some reason it says that the container's listening on port 3000 and 3001, but if you actually go into the Docker Hub for this release from Linux server, it said something else. So let's go and validate that. Let's open a new browser tab, and then in here we're gonna put Linux server, and then we put Calibre, and we should get to here. We select Calibre, and we go down to check at the example here, and it says that by default it's listening on 8080 and 8181. So 8080 for HTTP, 8181 for HTTPS. We don't really care about HTTPS for this. We're gonna use 8080. So make sure that you don't leave port 3000 like it says. You know, the example that they gave us uses 8080. So that's what we're gonna use. Let's go back in here, change this to 8080. We don't need this other port, so we delete it, and we're gonna use port 8089 because we have used all the other ports in other containers. So that's gonna be it for this. Then we will go next, and when we go next, we have to specify the location of our config. So we go into Docker configs, and we don't have one for Calibre, so we click on configs, we click create, and we write Calibre, and now we have Calibre, so we select it. And then we also need to add the location of our downloaded books, so that's going to be in downloads, and then complete it. But then we're going to use readr, and then where's going to be the final destination of our books. So we go into media and we select books, and now we say that inside our container this is going to be mapped to config, this is going to be mapped to /downloads, and this is going to be mapped to books. And we go next, we validate the information, everything looks good, so we run this container, leave that checked, and click done. And we should see now that it will start a new container for Calibre. Here we go, we go into the details and we check that log. We'll monitor it to make sure that everything is going fine. We refresh. This takes a little bit of time because it's actually like simulating an X server application. So that's the image. That's the reason why the image is big, and it's kind of a little bit cumbersome, but it's actually necessary, and it's a good application. So I think it's not a waste of 2 gigs of space. Okay, let's give it some time. And then we would go into our NAS IP port 8089, and here we have Calibre. So now we can start. That was pretty fast actually. Yep, it's ready. Connections accepted. So we're good. Let's continue here in our Calibre. The first thing we need to do here is we need to let Calibre know where our books are going to be located, because it says choose a location for your books. So then we're going to point here to our folder that we gave it, which was not config, it was actually the books directory. That points to our media books location, which will be the final location for our books. That's where Calibre will put our books, and we'll also look for our books. So we do that and we click next. Then the next thing we have to do is if you have like a Kindle or something similar to that, I do have one, so I'm gonna go here and select Amazon, and then I'm gonna go with the Kindle Paperwhite because that's the device that I have. It is good to, if you use an e-reader, that you specify it here so that it behaves in a way that is beneficial for your device. So I go with Amazon Paperwhite. Then we go next, and in this part you would specify your SMTP server details so that you can mail the books directly to your Kindle. So in this case you have several options. You can use Outlook, which would be like a live.com or outlook.com or hotmail.com, something like that, and GMX, which is for another type of server. I usually have problems with GMX because I don't use that domain gmx.com, so I tend to go with Outlook. So I go here and I put my email address and my password, and that basically configures all the settings for me to send the books using my Microsoft account. So let me put that information here. I'm gonna stop it here, and we're gonna continue after that when I click next. So once you put your settings here, it's gonna auto-populate all the information here, and then you can click on this test email button, and it'll send a fake email to make sure that it can connect using your email provider. And once you can validate that by clicking here, then you know that everything works and you're satisfied with that. So it should give you something like that, email successfully sent. And in here, we would put our Kindle email address. That's where you receive email content, and then that's automatically sent to your Kindle device. So you can get that from your Amazon account, and you would put that in here. And once that is done, you can go next. And now basically you have set up the basics for Calibre. So we're good. We can click the finish button. And it should now start Calibre with its usual interface that it looks like a big desktop application, because that's what it actually is in the end. And here we go. Then we can proceed with the configuration of Calibre. Okay, so we are greeted by the quick start guide for the application Calibre. So this is an ebook that they add whenever you start the application. So for example, we can say view, and then it'll show us that ebook within the Calibre application. So as you can see, you can actually view the books directly inside Calibre, but it's kind of slow, honestly. So I wouldn't recommend using Calibre for reading. You see, it's kind of slow. There we go. But you can actually view the books here too if you want. Like when you download them and stuff. Here it is. So we really don't need this book, so I'm just gonna go and remove it, and remove all the formats. There we go. We don't need it. Yes. Did it go away, or did I do something wrong? Remove book will be deleted. Are you sure? Yes. There we go. So now we don't have anything. Our library is empty, and now we need to start configuring other things inside the application. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on preferences here, and here's where we configure our application. And the first thing that we want to do is look for the option that says sharing over the net. We click there, and then we're going to go into user accounts, and in here we are going to create an account for Redar. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to click here, add user. The name is going to be Redar. Password is going to be Redar in our case. Put it again here. So we see that Redar. Okay. So now we have created an account for Redar to be able to access Calibre from the network. Oh, an important thing here is we need to make sure that this is checked, which says allow Redar to make changes. So we're giving it right access to Calibre. That's really important. So we leave that checked. Okay, now we can apply this. And it says that we need to restart the server for the changes to take effect. And then it will bring us back to our main page, which is great. But then we still go back into the sharing over the net, and we in main here, instead of user accounts, which is where we were, we go to main, and we make sure that we're using the port to listen for connections. In this case, it's 8081. So that's something that we have to take into consideration. We did not put a port for 8081. We were only paying attention to 8080. So that's something that we have to do, because we need to be able to access the Calibre server using the connection that it uses. I mean the port that it uses for connections. So let's do something here. First, we make sure that we require the username and password to access the Calibre content server, and we make sure that it runs automatically whenever the container starts. And we can click the start server here to make sure that it's working, and it says port 8081. So that's something that we have to actually fix. So let's first apply this and click OK. So we need to go back here into our container. And we need to stop it for a second here, Calibre. And now that it's stopped, we're going to click on here, we're going to click on edit, and then we're going to add another port. So we add port 8081 for our Calibre content server, and we're going to use 8090 in our host to access that. So we click save. Now we've added another port here. So now we're good. We should be able to access the Calibre content server, and we can start it again from here. I apologize because I forgot that part. Okay, and it looks like our Calibre is up again. Let's see. Yeah, looks like it's running. Let's refresh here to make sure that yes, we are here and it's working. So now we can continue with our process. Let's validate real quick that it was auto started. So if we go into sharing over the net, it is listening, so everything's looking good. Now we are going to cancel out of here because we have not made any changes, and we're going to look for the option here that says behavior. So it's up here, so we click on behavior, and this is important. This is like, I would say, the most important part in the configuration of Calibre, which is where we specify when I get a book or an ebook, right, which format do I want to keep in the end, right? I have a Kindle, so I want my files to have a format that is easily consumable by my Kindle. So I'm gonna make sure that here where it says preferred output format, I have a MOBI, because that's the one that usually Kindle uses the most. You could also have an electronic publication, which is EPUB, or AZW3, which is an Amazon type of file, but MOBI tends to be like the best. So what it does is it'll save the books in MOBI format, and if we have another format, then what it'll do is it will convert it into that format. And in here we have a list of priorities that we want our formats to have. So we're gonna look for MOBI, and we're gonna move it up because we want it to be at the top. That's the preferred input format order. So if it's MOBI, it stays MOBI. If it's EPUB, it converts it to MOBI, etc. And for here, for this part, basically we leave the rest as it is. So we're going to click on apply. And now that we go back to our main page, we're going to click on where it says adding books. And then in here, we're going to look at the adding actions. So in here, we're telling it whenever we get a new book, do this, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to check this that says when using the copy to library action, check for duplicates with the same title, author, and language, because we don't want to import the same book over and over again. Right, and then here we select this that says automatically convert added books to the preferred output format, which is what we said before. I said I want MOBI, so this is going to convert whatever I get into a MOBI file. And then here we can click on auto merge added books if they already exist, and we can here go and say ignore duplicates. So if I already have that book, just don't add it, ignore it. And this is basically how I like this part. So that's all the changes I'm going to make in here. Then we're going to go into the automatic adding tab, and in here we need to specify a folder where the downloader is going to put our books that Calibre is going to look for. So in here we specified that we're going to have a path in the root folder called downloads. So we select downloads because remember that points to our media downloads, to our downloads completed readar folder, which is where we drop the files. So Calibre is going to be looking for books in that location. And then we check here which says check for duplicates when automatically adding files, so it doesn't add the same book again, and automatically convert added files whenever we get a new book. So that's what we do. And here that'll be basically it. So we would click on the apply option, and then it says all the files that you put in the downloads will be automatically deleted after adding them to Calibre. Are you sure? Yes. Why does it say that? Because it's gonna grab the file, the book, from our downloads directory. It's gonna put it into our media books folder, which is the final destination for the book, and then delete it from where we downloaded it. So we say yes. And then some of the changes you made require a restart. Please restart Calibre as soon as possible. We can basically restart it now. Okay, that was pretty fast. Calibre is back up, and we are good to continue with our configuration. Oh, actually, that's all the configuration that we needed to do for Calibre. Now Calibre is basically ready. It will look for new books that we drop into the downloads completed reader. It'll convert those into the MOBI format that we specified, put it into our media books folder, and remove the downloads from our destination of the downloaders. So it's good. And then we already set up the account for Readar to connect to the Calibre server, and we also enabled the Calibre content server. So we published that port, and it's working. So you should be able to hit it from Readar and also from calibre-web if you want to read using calibre-web. So that's all the configuration that we need here. So everything is looking good. We'll test it later when we are done configuring our system. We will see it in action in the Readar video. So that's gonna be it for this one. Hope you like this configuration. Hope you like this application. I really recommend it. It's really good. I recommend you to read on it because you can do amazing things with this. For example, once you have a book here, you can actually share that book to your Kindle, and it'll automatically get it from that email and download it to your Kindle over the internet, and then you can just open your Kindle and your book is going to be there, and it's really great. So hope you like it. We're going to continue this series. On the next video, we're going to be talking about calibre-web. If you like it, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Always I'm paying attention to the comment section, so feel free to leave your comments there. Recommend content that you would like to see featured in the channel. And remember, I do not monetize this channel, so if you like the content and you want to support me to continue making content like this, feel free to donate in the links in the description below. You can donate directly through PayPal, or you can do Bitcoin donation if you want. So thank you very much for being here, and see you on the next video.